This is the Future of Flight resource, and we'll be looking at the materials guide booklet today. So the materials booklet, this activity looks all around the importance of understanding the properties of different materials when considering aircraft design. At the start of this booklet, there is a case study. This looks at an engineer working with materials when making aircraft designs. This is a really nice introduction looking at careers and linking these to the Gatsby benchmarks. So a really nice activity to introduce this booklet is getting students to consider the wide variety of different materials and the properties that they have. There is a downloadable resource that's also in the booklet that you can download to use with your students. This gets them to look at the different materials and matching them up to the keywords so they can see which property links to each material. One of the other activities in this booklet is managing temperatures. This looks at the importance of regulating temperatures within an aircraft and looking at the different materials that would make excellent insulators in order to help with this. In this activity, students will need a beaker, a thermometer, and they'll need warm water, and then you'll need some way to cooling it, either a fridge or some kind of cooling box. Students will put their hot water into the beakers, place them within a cooling area for 30 minutes, and then look at how much the temperature has decreased in this time. Afterwards, they can test different materials and then put them back into the cooling area for 30 minutes to see if they've managed to stop or slow down the transfer of that heat, and therefore then make a recommendation on the best material to use. Some of the other activities that we cover in this booklet are looking at testing different materials by looking at what they're made of. So you can look at polymers, where you can make some polymer balls. This will be looking at PVA glue and using bicarbonate of soda. They can test their materials and see if it affects the bounce of that ball. Another activity looking at changing the amounts that we put into materials is looking at composites. This is where students can add different amounts of different materials to see how that changes the strength. For this activity, you will need to make your mould, and a template of this mould can be found from the Academy's website. Once the moulds have been formed and students have had the opportunity to test and add different amounts to form their composites, they can then test them. These can be placed where they can be balanced at each end, and then they can take some hanging masses, add some mass each time and see how much it takes before the composite breaks. They can analyse that data in order to determine the best mixture that they can put together in order to make the strongest composite. Finally, the last part of this booklet is to consider how we use biomimicry. This is where we take inspiration from nature in order to look at what shapes are naturally occurring, what properties they have, and how we can implement that into our designs. If you would like a free downloadable version of this resource, it can be found on the Royal Academy of Engineering's website.